Hi all, alright, so in my last video I talked about how ADHD affects women because it's a slightly different to how it can affect men. Not the challenges and their difficulties, they're about the same, and so the traits. It's just mainly based on social structures or social ideologies, how men and women tend to differ and how they're affected. But anyway, if you want to see that, check it out. This video, I'm just going to talk about essentially the same thing, but in reference to autism, and it's a lot simpler. Okay, now autism is a spectrum, like I've said before. It depends on where you lie on the spectrum, it depends on you as an individual, it depends on your unique difficulties that you experience. Do you have sensory issues, do you have anxiety, is social situations especially stressful, and so on and so forth, that how you are affected by the condition. Now, because of that, I don't think it's best to talk about how women are affected by autism when referencing the whole condition, because that will just be really difficult, because it's super varied. But instead, I'm going to just talk about one specific thing that I have a particular experience in, which is masking. Now, I've mentioned masking before in another video, but it's been proven that women with autism or girls with autism, again, depending on the severity, are they higher on the spectrum, lower on the spectrum, tend to appear as though they are coping with social situations better than, say, men with autism. Now, just because they appear to be does not mean that they actually are. For instance, they're better at suppressing, and this is masking, right? They're better at suppressing their feelings or how they feel, or their stresses, or their anxieties, being quieter, because sometimes with autism there's also a trait where you're not good at regulating not just emotions and sensory input, but also things like sound. Like, lots of people with autism tend to talk quite loud. Like, one of my brothers, very loud. When I was a kid, very, very loud. You just don't know. You're basically shouting, and it's annoying for people around you, but you don't know you're shouting. You don't feel like you are. Now, of course, I kind of, I'm not going to say grew out of it, but I learnt to sort of cope with that, manage it, quieten down my voice, think inside voice, outside voice, that kind of thing. And essentially, girls with autism tend to fit in better than men do, or boys do, because they're better at copying the behaviors of people who don't have autism. So they copy their behaviors, and then they use them, they assimilate them, and then they try to carry themselves in a very similar way. Now, when I say copy their behaviors, I don't just mean like little things, I don't mean things like how they walk or how they enter the room. I mean every little detail, from the way they phrase sentences, from hand actions, from whether or not they maintain eye contact. Now, if you have autism, it's really hard actually to maintain eye contact with someone. It's just something about it makes you feel awkward and nervous, and trust me, I've tried it, and a lot of time I need to look slightly off from them. But it's like, and now, because of that, a girl with autism who's really good at masking it, or really good at pretending or trying to fit in or disguising it, essentially, may maintain eye contact. I can do it, in interviews or in situations where I think it's especially important. I can do it very well. I had a mock interview back in comp where that was supposed to prepare me for future interviews for jobs, and one of the things I had on my feedback, one of the positives, was I loved how the woman loved how I maintained eye contact with her throughout the interview, and I showed that I was listening by nodding. Now, I was listening, but I had to consciously think to maintain my eye contact and to nod every time she said something, because I knew from what I'd observed from other people that was typically a polite way of showing someone that you're listening to them. So that was all masking, and a lot of times subconscious. You don't really know you're doing it, and I became more aware of it as I grew up and learned more about it, and that's kind of how it happens. Anyway, so yes, so that's how autism affects girls, mostly in the mostly in the area of coping, of disguising, masking, and learning to fit in, learning how to carry yourself in social situations, which also is why it's more difficult for women to get diagnosed with ADHD or autism, because they're much better at hiding it. But that's probably more info, I guess, for another video. I have to be somewhere today, so I can't make this too long, so I think this is a good place to end it. Now, if you have any questions or requests for future videos, any thoughts or feelings on what I've said, put them in the comments. Otherwise, like the video if you like the video. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, follow if you want more content, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and repost the video as well, because it helps raise awareness, and because, I don't know, I want to get more info out there, I suppose. But besides that, hopefully, you've liked this video and you want to see more, and if so, then I guess I'll just see you in the next video. Till then, bye!